Hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to Brilliant Entrance. I'm Diana Susan Thomas and today we'll be doing a biology session on genetics and evolution. A very important unit with respect to NEET. What is genetics? Genetics is a branch of biology that deals with the study of heredity as well as variation. When you look around, we can see that each of us, as we consider ourselves humans, species, if you look at each of us, we have several similarities. We all look the same, right? We have the same two eyes, the same two hands, the same way. But yes, there is some variation. We all have our own unique features which gives us an individuality. So that is what we study in genetics, or that is what we refer to when coming to heredity as well as variation. All of us are inheriting something from our parents. Yes, we are inheriting our ancestral property. The same way, we are inheriting several characters from our parents. And yes, not only from our parents, but from our grandparents and from our ancestors. So this has been a process of transferring characters from generation to generation, and that is exactly what is heredity. Then what is variation? Any difference that you see between two siblings or between a progeny and its parent, the degree of difference you see between the siblings or between the progeny and the parents is what you call as variation. So that is what genetics is all about, the study of both heredity as well as variation. Now moving ahead, if we look around, we can see different variations in people with respect to color, with respect to their height. Some are tall, some are short, some are the darker shade, some are much on the lighter shade with respect to their color. So many variations we see among others. Each of these characters are what we call as a phenotype. Phenotype is any external characteristic you are seeing or any physiological aspect what we are seeing is what we call as the phenotype. Now, what is that which defines our characteristics? Any characteristic, whether it is our height, whether it is our color, or any external feature or any physiological feature, what determines our phenotype? It is nothing but the genotype. What is genotype? When you come to genotype, what we said, what is heredity? The transmission of characters from the parents to the offspring. That is exactly what is the genotype. These characters are nothing but what is determined by the genes. So what determines the phenotype is the what? It is the genes. We all say why a child is looking like the parent. We say it is all in his genes. He's got it from his parents or he's got it from his ancestors. So what we get in the form of genes is what is referred to as the genotype. So whatever we can see physically as the external characteristic is what we call as the phenotype, and what determines this phenotype, that is what is the genotype. So genotype refers to what is in our genes, that is in the chromosome content. So where are these genes located in a cell? If you go inside the cell, you know what are the structures within the cell, and there we have the nucleus at the center of the cell. If you go within the nucleus, you can see structures which are called as the chromosomes. Chromosome is nothing but the highest level of the organization of the DNA. Now, if you look at each point along the chromosome, you can see that there are several points. The chromosome, each point where a gene is located is what you call as a loci or a gene locus. So when we are inheriting the traits or the genes from our parents, what is happening? We inherit part of the genes or part of the chromosomes from our mother or from the maternal side, and part of the the chromosomes is what we receive from the father or from the fraternal side. So what happens, there is a mixing of these genes during the process of fertilization, and that is what we see, or that is the reason for the variation, or you can say that we resemble both of our parents in certain of the characteristics. So the basis for that is that during the formation of the germ cells, what happens is there is a reduction in the chromosome number. That is due to the process of meiotic division. So during the formation of germ cells, only half the number of the chromosomes will be present within the germ cell. That is, the germ cells are haploid in number. And during the process of fertilization, there is a union of the gametes, and the progeny will have double the chromosome number, that is the 2n. So if you see in a chromosome, you can see that each point in this chromosome is for a gene. So this point where you can see, which is denoted or which shows the gene for the color of the eyes. So you will have a particular point along the chromosome where the genes for the eye color is located. This particular point is what you call as the gene loci. And you know that we have two pairs of each. We have a pair of each of the chromosome. So all the genes will be having two forms of that particular character. The two forms, alternate forms of a gene is what you call as an allele. So if you see this particular chromosome, you have one of the alleles for the eye color is for the brown eyes. The other allele is for the blue eyes. So these are two alternate forms of the gene for the color of the eye. Even before the DNA was discovered, all the factors or all the principles which were governing the transmission of these characters from the parents to the offsprings were determined. In the early centuries, Gregor Mendel, who is considered as the father of the modern genetics, he was the one to put forward all the principles which were governing the transmission of the characters from the parents to the offspring. Who was Gregor Mendel? If you see, he was an Augustinian monk from Austria. He was an Augustinian monk from Austria. He was a mathematician, he was a biologist, he was a physicist. So he started his work, or he did his experimental studies using the garden pea plant, which is the Pisum sativum. Now, there are several reasons as to why he chose this particular plant for his experiments. Now, if you see, pea plant was a plant which had a very short lifespan, and it also showed distinct characteristics which were easily identifiable. Moreover, they had a pure breeding varieties of the pea plant were seen, and it was possible for doing the controlled breeding also. So that was the reason that he used the pea plant for his experimental studies. Now, initially he started with 33 varieties of the pea plant, then he went ahead with 22, and finally he went with 7 varieties of the pea plant. Now, all the characteristics that he chose were clearly distinguishable, were clearly identifiable, and pure breeding varieties were there. And he also observed that hybrids also were fertile. So the 7 characteristics that he chose were the shape of the seed color, the flower color, the pod shape, as well as the pod color. These were the 7 characteristics that he had chose for his experimental study. Now, for his experimental study, he had chosen a particular strategy. So first what he did was, he was going for the selective breeding, or for the selection of the pure breeding varieties. He always chose the pure breeding variety. Now, what is a pure breeding variety? When you say a pure breeding variety, it refers to the plants which will show the same characteristics for several generations. So that is what is a pure breeding variety. So his first step was to choose the pure breeding varieties, and he cross-pollinated 2 pure breeding varieties which showed distinct characteristics. So that was his next step to obtain the F1 hybrid. So one of his experiments, he had taken pea plant which was tall and another pea plant which was short. He made sure it was the
pure breeding variety, meaning after several generations of self-pollination, he only got the
tall variety from this
particular plant. Similarly, after several
generations of self-pollination, he only obtained short plants from this particular variety. Now, first, after selecting the pure hybrids, what he did next was to do the crossbreeding. Now, for crossbreeding, what he did was he used the process, he did emasculation and bagging. Now, what is emasculation? Emasculation refers to the removal of the anthers. The anthers of the plant was removed to make sure that these pollens do not fall on the stigma of the same flower. So, to prevent the process of self-pollination, he removed the anthers from the flower. And that process is what you call as emasculation. And to make sure that the flower was not pollinated, the stigma of the flower was not pollinated from any other flower, he bagged he covered the stigma after the desired pollens were left for fertilization. So he bagged it to make sure that it was not pollinated from any other flower. So the first step was to select the pure breeding varieties. So for that he chose one pea plant which was tall and the other pea plant which was a short one. Now he made sure that these were pure breeding varieties. The second was to do the cross breeding. That was his second step, experimental step. So for cross breeding, what he did was he emasculated the flowers. Emasculation is the process of removing the anthers from the flower. So he removed the anthers of the flower and he used the pollens from the other flower. He used the pollens from the other variety and he made the pollens to germinate on the stigma of the flower of the other variety. And he covered the stigma to make sure that this particular stigma or this particular flower was not pollinated by any other pollen, or to prevent the self-pollination as well. Now, after he did the cross hybridization, what happened? He observed hybrid, that is the first filial generation. What he observed were all the varieties were tall. He got none which were of a medium size or none which was short in size. All the plants that he got after the cross hybridization of a tall plant and the short plant were all tall. So what he had to make out from here was, or what he found, that some factors were being transferred from the parent generation to the offsprings, and that was during the process of fertilization that there was the mixing, and that is how the F1 hybrid is being formed. Now further he went ahead with his next step, that is he self-pollinated the F1 hybrid. He self-pollinated the F1 hybrid, and what he observed was that the next step what he did was he self-pollinated the F1 hybrids. Now after he self-pollinated the F1 hybrids, what he observed was he got 3 tall varieties and 1 dwarf variety, or you can say in the ratio 3:1 he got the tall as well as the dwarf variety. Now from this what he put forward was the principle of the unit inheritance. He said that some factors was transferred from the parent to the offsprings. Now when he referred to factors, he didn't know what was actually being transferred from the parent to the offspring. That is why he termed them as factors. Now we know that it is those factors what Mendel was referring to is what is the genes which is responsible for the phenotype. So all his studies, rigorous studies, were left unrecognized till the 20th century, where 3 independent scientists, that is Correns, De Vries and Schimark, independently rediscovered Mendel's study. Now, to go for another example or another experiment which was done by Mendel, he crossed 2 different varieties of pea plant, one having the purple flower and the other one with the white flower. Now, what is happening during the gamete formation? Half of the chromosomes would be transferred to the gametes. That is what happens. So if the parent is the diploid variety, during the gamete formation, each gamete will get half the number of the chromosomes. So each of these forms is what you call as the allele. So one gamete, the gametes will always have only one form of the gene. That is, one of the alleles will always be there in the offspring. Now, what happened after the fertilization? After the cross fertilization between a purple flower plant and a white flower plant, all the flowers, all the plants whichever he got in the hybrid, in the F1 generation, that is the first generation, were all having the purple flower. Now, whichever trait was visibly seen in the F1 hybrid, that particular trait is what he called as the dominant trait. Okay, so from, if he crossed the purple and the white, and if the F1s had only the purple flower, it showed that the purple was dominant to the white characteristic. Meaning when both these alleles, the allele for the purple color as well as the allele for the white flower. Right. So when the cross fertilization is taking place, each allele will be during the formation or fusion or fertilization of the gametes, the hybrid will receive one allele from each of the parents. So if you see the genotype of the F1 hybrid, it will have, for the flower color, it will have one allele for the purple color and the other allele for the white color. Now, since purple color was the phenotypically, the appearance was the purple color, it meant that purple is the dominant allele, meaning if both the allele for the purple color as well as the white color is present together in the offspring, the dominant one would express itself, or the allele which expresses itself is called as the dominant one, and the allele whose expression is being masked is called as the recessive allele. So with respect to the flower color, the purple one was the dominant and the white color was the recessive trait. Now, the next what he did was he did the self-pollination or the F1 hybridization. So what happens during the F1 hybridization or self-pollination? Again, during the gamete formation, only one allele will be received by each of the gametes. So from here you have one gamete which will be having the allele for the purple color and the other allele would be for the white color. Similarly from the other parent. What happens during fertilization? Okay, what happens during fertilization? Now, as per, if you relate it with your cell division, that is the meiotic division, what happens during the meiotic division? There is an equal chance for, or during the separation of the gametes, there is an equal distribution of the gametes, irrespective of the distribution of the alleles. So each allele is free to combine with any other allele from the other parent. So what happens if you have this, you can represent the fertilization or you can represent the F2 hybrids using the Punnett square. And this is what is the Punnett square. So you can write each of the gametes here. Gametes from one of the parents you can write on the top and the gametes from the other parent can be written on the side. So the fusion of the first two gametes, that is both the gametes are carrying the alleles for the purple color. So what would be the genotype of the first offspring? The genotype would be this would be the genotype, meaning both the alleles is for the purple color. Now coming to the next hybrid, the genotype would be one allele of the purple color and the other allele would be for the white color. Now, if you see the next offspring, one allele again would be for the purple color and the other allele would be for the white color. Coming for the last hybrid, it would be both the alleles are for the white color. Now, since even though these two hybrids, that is the second and the third hybrid, had one allele for the purple color and the other allele for the white color, but since the purple color is the dominant one, what we could visualize phenotypically would be the purple color flower. Now, only the last hybrid which received both the alleles for the white flower color, that would be phenotypically showing the white color because it had both the alleles for the recessive character. It did not have the allele for the purple color. So all such individuals where genotypically, if you have both the alleles are the same, if both the alleles are the same, then you call it as a homozygote, or you can say it is homozygotic gene combination. That is your capital P, capital P. If it is the small p, then it is also a homozygote, but this is a homozygote recessive, and both represented using the capital P is what you call as the homozygous dominant. Homozygous dominant, and this is the homozygous recessive. Now, if one allele is the capital P, which is for the purple color, and the other is with the small p, that is for the white color, then such a condition is what you call as the heterozygotes. Heterozygotes meaning both the alleles are of the different forms, or both the alleles of that particular gene is present. Then you call it as a heterozygote. One hybrid. The first. So that's all for today. We'll be doing the remaining session in the next class. Thank you.